Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a good weekend and is starting to get used to the new normal here. I wanted to talk today about time blocking and how to manage your schedule and manage your time, especially when you're working from home. If you're not accustomed to working from home, this can be a little bit disorienting. It's not as easy to work from home as people might think. If you're accustomed to going in and having a regular routine and a regular schedule, and now you're in a position where you have to manage your own schedule, manage your own routine, and if you have kids at home and so on and so forth, it makes it even that much more challenging. Damon, what's up, man? I was just thinking about you. Are you still up in Reno? Shoot me a comment. Love to see that. So I have struggled with time management for a long time. And I still do sometimes when I don't manage, when I don't really have a plan in place. Last week, normally I work from home like 2 to 3 days a week. And last week, everything was kind of, discombobulated because we got the stay-at-home order, and then all of a sudden there are a lot of new logistical pieces that I have to figure out, and I'm working from home every day, and I did not manage my time effectively. I did not organize my schedule. I did not block out my time, and as a consequence, I was much less efficient than I should have been, than I could have been. I got everything done eventually, but not in an efficient way. It took me twice as long. Secondly, my anxiety was super high because I wasn't sure what I needed to be doing, when I needed to be doing it, if I was getting everything done. And so I've just noticed that as a general rule, for me, when I'm working from home, if I'm not really time blocking and managing my time effectively, my efficiency is way down, my productivity is way down, and my anxiety is way up. So, for those of you who are not accustomed to working from home, I want to throw some ideas at you. I also want to say that there are probably a million different ways to do this, and this is not the only way. So, some of this might be a little bit trial and error. My way may not be the ideal way for you, but this may at least give you some jumping off points and some ideas and some concepts to consider and to try to see if they work for you. Hi Jane, hi Gary. Okay, so here we go. The first thing that you need to do if you're going to be managing your schedule from home is you need to figure out what it is that you need to do. So step one in this process is doing a brain dump. And a brain dump is really just the process of taking anywhere from about 10 to 30 minutes, getting out a piece of paper and just emptying your head onto the piece of paper. Everything that you know that you need to do. Don't edit it. Just go stream of consciousness. Don't think about it while you're doing it. Just empty your head. Dan, what's up, man? Just empty your head onto a piece of paper. Just get it all out there. Spill it out. And then you want to sort it. Okay, so step one is taking about 10 to 30 minutes to brain dump everything onto a piece of paper and then sort it. And the way that you're sorting it initially is you just sort it into personal stuff and business stuff. Okay, keep it simple. The second thing that you want to do once you have your everything spilled out onto the paper and sorted into personal and business is prioritize it. So you want to prioritize it as a number one, a number two, or a number three. Number one items are things that are urgent, things that you absolutely must do, things that you must do on a daily basis, or things that have a time restriction on them. Things that are marked as a number two would be things that are less urgent but still need to get done. And items that are listed as a 3 would be stuff that you just need to get done at some point in the future. So you're going to prioritize these things. And you're going to focus first on the things that you prioritize as a number 1, stuff that needs to get done now or urgently or has a time limit. And then you want to categorize and batch similar items together. So some categories for me, and this might give you something to think about. Categories for me are things like, I just put a bunch of stuff under admin, administrative. And that might be returning emails, checking Trello and Asana, which are shared project software programs that we use at work. So checking emails, returning phone calls, doing billing things, customer service. Batch them into a category like admin, like finances, like social media, like kids. I mean, if you're with your kids, stuff that you need to do with your kids. So come up with some categories and then batch all of the similar items together, okay? Step 4 would be to actually block off your calendar. So you're gonna create time blocks. And I recommend that you keep your time blocks to anywhere from about 60 to 90 minutes per category. There's actually quite a bit of research that says that somewhere like I think it's something like a 50-minute work block and then a 10-minute break is ideal for productivity. Don't quote me on that because I got to find the source on that, but it makes sense, and some of the research indicates that sticking to like a 60 to a 90-minute block of time that you're focusing on a particular category is a good amount of time. You don't want to try to go too long, and you need to take breaks in there. So I recommend taking anywhere from about a 5 to a 10-minute break each hour, even if you've dedicated 2 hours to a particular category. Let's say that you've blocked off 2 hours of time for finances. Take a 10-minute break each hour. You need to step away from it, let your brain relax for a second, and come back. So block off your calendar, create 60 to 90-minute blocks of time for each category. Now, I recommend when you're actually creating your calendar and your schedule, I recommend going old school and writing it down on a piece of paper, okay? There's a reason for that. Now, I do this, okay? Because your phone is a trap. And if you use iCal or Google Calendar or some other app on your phone, my concern about that is that every time you open up your phone to check your schedule, you're going to get sucked into something in your phone. You're going to get sucked into social media. You're going to say, well, while I'm here, I'll check my email, something like that. So I actually recommend, although everybody's different, using some sort of a visual paper-based, calendar or schedule. You can get a calendar from, get a daily scheduling planner from the store, from Office Depot or something. I've used fancy calendars before that I spent a lot of money on, which is kind of ridiculous because you can just go to Google and you can just search for calendar templates or schedule templates and print one, and it's going to cost you 2 cents. So using a paper schedule or a paper calendar, in my opinion, you want to block off the time in your on your schedule. So block it off into 60 to 90-minute blocks. You can actually set a timer. I set a timer on my phone. Now, I set a timer by telling SIRI, I'm not actually going to use the word right now, otherwise the phone that I'm recording this live with will probably ask me what it wants me to do for me. But I actually set a timer verbally using my phone, and so I don't have to open it up. So set a timer and don't get sucked in to your phone, okay? So block off your calendar, actually block it off, write it out, create blocks of time on your calendar. Now, I use color coordination. That's, a little bit juvenile, but that was something that my mentor did 25 years ago, and I've just never stopped doing it. So step 1 is brain dump. Step 2 is prioritize things. Step 3 is categorize and batch similar items together. Step 4 is block out your calendar. Step 5, once you actually have your calendar blocked off, is to protect yourself from distractions. That might mean talking to your family and saying, hey, listen, I need to get 2 hours of work done, so please leave me the heck alone. I think that refers back to the question, Joe Sullivan, that you asked, you typed up just a couple minutes ago. When there are other people in the house, how do you deal with that? Have a conversation and say, listen, I need to get this done. Can you watch the kids for a while? I'll watch the kids a little later on so you can get your things done. You may need to coordinate with your spouse or with your family members. But protect yourself from distractions. Turn off notifications. So turn off your Facebook notifications. Turn off your texts. I recommend setting your phone on Do Not Disturb. And don't try to multitask, because multitasking is ineffective. When you're toggling back and forth between different things, you are not actually multitasking, you're single tasking. And every time you're switching back and forth, you're having to reorient yourself on the project that you're focusing on, and you're losing anywhere from about 40 to 100% of your productivity doing that. So protect yourself from distractions is step number 5. And then go to work. You're going to have to show some discipline in sticking with your time blocks and seeing that 60 to 90 minutes through to its completion. But discipline is a practice. It's something that you learn over the course of time, so you're going to have to practice that. And then at the end of the day, go back and review your schedule, review everything. Take about 5 to 10 minutes. Review, see how you did, and see if you need to tinker with things and figure out a different way to do it in the next time around. So again, just to review these steps really quickly, I don't want to go into too much detail on them and take all day. But step number 1 is brain dump everything that you know that you need to do, and then sort them as to whether they're personal or whether they're business. Step 2 is to prioritize the items, number 1, number 2, number 3. Number 1 are the things that you know that you need to get done now. They're urgent. Number 2 things are things that you can do a little bit later on in the day. And number 3 items will be things that you can do when you've got free time. Step number 3 will be to categorize things and batch things together so you can focus on similar items at a time. Because if you're trying to shift your mentality back and forth between different categories, you're going to lose productivity. Step number 4 is physically actually write it down, block out your calendar, 60 to 90 minute blocks. Make sure you schedule 5 to 10 minute breaks each hour. Step number 5 is protect yourself from distractions by talking to your family and asking for them to make sure that they give you some space to do your work. Turn off notifications, turn off texts, and at the end of the day, just review and see how things went. Now, here are some extra bonus tips. Schedule your high value or creative number 1 or urgent tasks early on in the day. The things that you need to dedicate a significant amount of your focus and energy to, cognitively and creatively, make sure that you tackle those things early in the day when your brain is fresh. We do not have an unlimited supply of cognitive capacity. We will begin to become less efficient in our thinking and our creativity as we go through the day. So tackle the high value creative or high demand cognitive tasks early on in the day. And then schedule the kind of like tasky things that don't require a lot of mental aptitude, for later on in the day. Schedule you time, all right? So make sure that you put time for yourself into your schedule. That might mean time with the family. It might mean meditation time. It might be blocking off time for you to work out, exercise, for you to read, for you to do something recreational, to take a walk, whatever it is. That you time is absolutely as important as every other thing on your schedule. If you drop that out and you don't take care of yourself, you're going to wear yourself down to the point where you're just not going to be very effective and efficient in your work, no matter what you do. So make sure that you schedule you time. I would recommend setting maybe 2 to 4 times a day for checking email and social media. It's a trap. I mean, email and social media are a trap, and you will get stuck in there and you'll get lost. So if you actually just block off specific times during the day, maybe 2 to 4 times, depending upon your life and your schedule, Social media right now is super important because it's really the only way that we can connect with other people. So it's something that we're all doing a lot of right now. It's important to do. Just don't get stuck scrolling all day long. Set aside 2, 3, or 4 half an hour blocks a day to dive into social media and interact with people and check your notifications and scroll. But just don't check your email 45 times a day. There's nothing good about that. It's not a healthy thing to do. It just creates anxiety. Create special times of the day for email and social media. This is just my personal opinion, but limit the amount of time that you spend watching the news. There's a well-documented negativity bias when it comes to the news. I don't care what news station you're watching. Doesn't matter what your political slant is. News has a very well-established negativity bias. And I don't think it's very productive for us to be taking in those empty calories when it comes to just the constant stream of toxic negativity all the time. So that's just my personal opinion. I think that maybe block out time to check in, see what's going on with the world, be informed, but don't live in it. There's nothing healthy about checking the news all day long. And the last thing is get outside. Get outside, spend a little bit of time outside. I saw some research recently that said that we spend somewhere between 73 and 80% of our lives indoors. And that is not consistent with the way that we evolved as a species. There's no way that our central nervous systems adapted to cope with being inside 80% of the time. Being outside and being in nature has been documented as being very, very healthy for us physically and as far as our mental health. So, those are my pro tips, all right? That's pretty much it because I've already gone on for, as I always do, much longer than I intended to. But these are just some tips for managing your schedule if you happen to be working from home and if it's new for you. Make sure that you, I'll just cover the steps real quick again. Brain dump everything, just spill everything that you know that you need to do out onto a piece of paper. Sort it as far as whether it's personal or whether it's business. Prioritize it, 1, 2, or 3. 1 being most urgent, 2nd being stuff that you can do later on in the day, 3rd being stuff that you can do when you have free time. Make sure that you categorize and batch together similar things so that you can just dive in and tackle one category at a time. You'll be much more efficient that way. Block out your calendar in 60 to 90 minute blocks. Make sure that you protect yourself from distractions by turning off notifications and asking your family to give you some time to get to work. And then at the end of the day, review and see how it went. That's it. All right. So that's it for now. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and post them. And I will probably just, instead of trying to deal with them right now, I'll just answer them later on so that we don't go on all day here. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. If you've got any more questions or ideas that you want to share about effective time management, I'd love to hear them in the comments section. Make sure that if you're interested in joining our Arena Fitness community page on Facebook, we'd love to have you. Just let me know. You can post in the comments section as to whether or not you would like to be invited. Be happy to have you there. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's it for now. Have a great day, great week, and we'll talk again soon.